Welcome back. I've been talking to Mandy, eco-psychologist from South Africa. Mandy, you run a Nature Cool Adventures, the path less traveled. What do you offer for people who are suffering from emotional stress and some sort of disorders, some sort of pain, sorrow, and all that? What is on the offer?
Okay. I think Nature Calls Adventures is a path less traveled because in our busy lives we don't slow down and reflect and really define who we are and how we're relating. The tours take place in southern and eastern Africa, some of them, one of them in Italy, which is one of my favorite places.
Not in Sicily.
Not in Sicily. It's actually in the little arm of what I call the arm of the boot, in the little town of Cinque Terre in Sicily, Italy. And it's for people who wanting emotional healing, who wanting to reflect, for the more discerning tourist who's been there, done that. He's kind of looking to be in the bush, not to just see things, but to have a meaningful experience that will change his or her life. Also, I do team building because I find when people know who they really are, they really know how to relate together as a team. So the team building obviously has the core added of personal development, but it's for the more, for sports teams, it's for corporates who want to think out of the box, who want some time to be cutting edge, and yes, so those groups of people. The dolphins have a more spiritual, more intuitive approach. So with the dolphins, it is more of healing. So people with depression, people dealing with cancer, children with cognitive delays in their learning, people who have experienced amputations. Yeah, people dealing with loss, sometimes through divorce. Usually, I prefer for it to at least be 5 days and 4 nights. Sometimes they will last a little bit longer when I combine, say, the Bushmen and the wild dogs, or a combination. I've got one called Wilderness and Warriors, which is time in Tanzania, in Selous Game Reserve, and then with the Maasai in Kenya. I also have one called Monkeying Around, which is an amazing time visiting.
From one place to another?
Not quite, but it's a little bit. Going up to Ruangera National Park to spend some time with the mountain gorillas. And in Kigali, at the National War Memorial, very moving experience, and going to the Nyungwe forest.
These Maasai, they're very colorful people.
They are. They're amazing.
They wear these orange-colored...
very red.
Is it red?
Red and blue and
it's very red.
Mostly red.
What sort of life, do they live in cities or do they have their own areas?
They actually live, the ones that I interact with, live in Amboseli National Park. So they have their cattle, their goats, and they have herd them amongst elephants and lions and wild animals. And they live in communities. I like it that they build cob houses.
They don't move. They're not like nomads.
No, I don't get the sense of that. I get the sense more that they do live in communities.
And what do they live on?
Can't answer that exclusively.
What do they live on? How do they make their living?
They used to live on the cattle that they herd and the goats, but I can only speak for the Maasai I know. In 2009, they had a terrible drought. So a lot of the cattle, they lost a lot of their livestock, which then threatened their livelihood. So they have incorporated buying maize and things like that and alternative ways of earning an income. But I would really love to see them have projects that maybe help them survive, but still keep their culture and the way they live together with animals. I think we have very few human groups that live in that way. I think we have a lot to learn from them.
When you take your quote-unquote patients in the bush, you see, the bush people, they don't mind it.
I think it gives them value, you know, because I think often they feel like they have to become westernized because they see or perceive the westernized people have a better livelihood and they have more money.
Yes.
But actually when people come to spend time with them, they realize actually what they have has huge value and they have huge amounts to teach us, you know, about how to relate, how to be adaptive in our own environments.
Well, what is African bush style? You have mentioned it somewhere. What is this style? Lifestyle?
African bush style?
Yeah.
So I say I do personal development and team building, African bush style, tribal style, or swimming with wild dolphins.
You talk about it helps, it supports this going into the bush and swimming with dolphins. It helps personal development, emotional healing, etc. See, how effective it is? I mean, does it really work, or a man comes out and says, "Oh, yes, it did," because he had some different experience?
I think I could give you quite a nice illustration of how that came together very well. I did a Wisdom of Elephants experience, and one of the ladies on the experience had just come out of a divorce situation. She had a young daughter. She was very bitter. She was very unhappy. She had a very low self-esteem. She was a bit overweight. And just after 4 days and 3 nights of spending time with the elephants, and you know, people, wildlife operates almost like a Rorschach test. You know, people will go and see the same scene, but depending on what's going on in their own internal landscape, they will take in different aspects of what they're seeing. So for her, what happened is she decided after this whole experience to downscale from living in a house to a flat, and she was going to use the money to do what she always wanted to do, which was fly a small light aircraft. And she did. A year later, she'd sold her house, she'd moved into a flat, she was on her first pilot's lesson, and now she flies for the Battaliers, which is a conservation group. So there are a lot of factors that come together that are very powerful, not just the nature, people reflecting, the facilitation. There's a lot of things that come together that can create quite a powerful transformation in a very short period of time, actually.
Great. You have written somewhere that animals with social behavior and tribal people are our teachers. The same lines. They are well adapted to their environment, or can adapt themselves to changing environment. Are we human beings less adaptable? We are adaptable, yes, but are we less adaptable? What's your experience?
I think how adaptive you are depends on how integrated the different parts of being human are. So if you're very, you know, just very intelligent and you neglect the social side or the emotional side, you're going to be maladaptive. I also believe there's a spiritual side, so that for me integrates and underlies everything. So I think we show our maladaptive behavior often by, you can see it, you know, there's many divorces, there's many addictions, there's many wars, you know, none of that is incredibly adaptive, you know, or I don't think it's always the best way of solving life's challenges. Whereas I think in nature things are more authentic, more pure. You know, I know this doesn't sound very nice, but if a male lion goes into a new pride and kills the cubs, now that's not a very nice thing, but it's for a good reason. It's for genetic strength.
Right.
You know, often when we do things, the reasons we do it are for manipulation, exploiting, feeling not good enough. It's for very different kinds of reasons. So often when you're with wild animals, it reminds us of how to be more human in a good way.
Yes, and that's why when we say going back to nature means being good, not bad.
I think so. I think it can bring out some of the things, the uncomfortable things you're dealing with within yourself, but I think the processes.
Mandy, we wanted to talk a little about network marketing that you have been doing. But just give us a brief view of what is network marketing and then what you have been doing.
Okay, the network marketing came into my life a couple of years ago because I'm passionate about my eco-psychology work. And I also then was becoming more involved with conservation. So I realized I needed more time and more money. And network marketing became a business model that made sense to me. I was learning from wild animals and tribal people that we used to live as small clans and communities with a healthy respect for our interdependence with nature. And doing the Nature Calls Adventures, Healing Power of Dolphin Experiences was dealing with the lifestyle aspect. But as a bit of an adventurer and an entrepreneur, I'd never really dealt with business models. So when this business model came across my path, what had value for me was that it was about being community. It was about building relationships. It was helping people to become leaders and entrepreneurs. And I did a 3-hour workshop for the alumni of the Stellenbosch Business School. I called it Wild Men, Wild Women, and Wild Dogs, a business model for the 21st century of interdependence and integrity. And because I had to do this 3-hour workshop, I then had to read all the books written by some of our sort of financial gurus like Robert Kiyosaki and Richard Branson. I won't say Donald Trump.
That's a controversial name.
I'm being a bit nasty now. So what really made sense to me, they were all saying, if you want to survive in our current global economy, you need to either have your money working for you, or you need or people working for you. Otherwise, you're going to work the rest of your life to just survive. And not many of us have the wealth to have big businesses
or
a lot of money.
Now is the time to conclude the whole thing.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being with us. And
Pleasure.
coming all along.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, viewers, for being with us and having the patience to listen to all this. And we hope that you have enjoyed the show as much as we have. Thank you again. Have a nice weekend. And see you sometime again next week. Same time, same channel. Take care.